Hey, what's up, y'all? Welcome back to another video. Man, I'm glad to have you here at Mastering the Faith. If you found this video through Mastering the Man, go on over to Mastering the Faith, hit the subscribe button, join our family, man. We're on day 13 of trusting God's plan and awaiting, and I'm so excited to get straight to it today. 13 days, almost to the end, man. We're over the halfway point. 22 days in total, trusting God's plan and awaiting. Let's get straight into it today for day 13. Let's go. Okay, so day 13. It says the famine. It says 7 years have passed, and as the predicted famine is here, just as Joseph said, this drought wasn't localized to Egypt. Other nations in the region were suffering as well. Word got out about Egypt having grain, so everyone was clamoring to buy it from them. Back in the land of Canaan, Jacob and his sons are hungry and getting desperate. Most likely their crops have suffered as well. Jacob tells his sons to go buy food from the Egyptians before it's too late. The famine must have been pretty bad because he sent 10 of the brothers to get the grain. Notice, however, he didn't allow Benjamin to go. Jacob seems to still be playing favorites even 20 years later. Don't you love that God directs Joseph's brothers right to him? What are the odds of a small group of Hebrew shepherds will be sent to buy food from their long-lost brother whom they betrayed? Friend, when it's time for your wait to end, God will be the one who orchestrates it in his perfect timing, not a day beforehand. After all, you don't want to get ahead of God and miss his very best. When God accomplishes it, he will receive all the glory, not you. And isn't that how you want it to be? So when Joseph's brothers arrived, they bowed down to him with their faces to the ground. Joseph is now the governor of Egypt. 20 years have passed since this scrawny Hebrew teenager was sold into slavery. Before their very eyes appeared to be an Egyptian in his late 30s, so his brothers didn't recognize him. Oh, but Joseph can't forget them. The memory of their faces is etched in his mind. He remembers something else too. That crazy dream all those years ago, a dream about the stalks of grain bowing down before him. Funny, the dream involved grain, the same thing that brought the brothers to Egypt. Even a symbolic grain in Joseph's dream had purpose. Remember this, God is in every detail. While you're waiting and seeking the Lord, keep an eye out and ask the Lord to give you spiritual eyes as you wait. You don't want to miss any detail of what he may be doing to lead you to your destiny. A phone call, a tweet, perfectly timed introduction could very well involve the Master's hand. You want to remember these details when you're telling the amazing story of God's deliverance one day. Are there some things you've written off as coincidences that may have divine... Okay, so let's get straight into the questions for today. It says, are there some things you have written off as coincidences that may have divine origins? How do you think Joseph might have felt when he first recognized his brothers? And have you asked God to open your eyes lately to what he's doing in the circumstances right now? So the first one by far is the one that speaks to me. Are there any things that you've written off as coincidences that may have divine origin? And as you guys know, I always tell you, I believe solely with my heart, and I've seen it with my own eyes, that God leaves clues. It's important for you to, like it says, ask God for the vision to see the things that he's doing in your life. You know, a lot of times we may hear something on the radio, or you may be watching this video and I say something and you're like, man, I was just thinking that, or so-and-so has said that. That is confirmation. That could be confirmation that God wanted you to hear that, and maybe you missed it the first time. Or, you know, when they talk about deja vu, those are coincidences that I think are from God for him to like stamp a message or stamp something that you should be picking up on. How do you think Joseph might have felt when he first recognized his brothers? I mean, I can only imagine that Joseph was like, I'm sure it was hard for him to really keep his cool, right? Because you don't want to give it away on your face, but I'm sure he's looking at these brothers like, man, is this really them? Like, I'm sure he was befuddled and he couldn't really believe that this was really happening right now. He was like, just mind blown, right? He couldn't believe, he was angry probably. He probably had so many different mixed emotions going on that, you know, I'm finally faced with the people who sold me into slavery, who beat me, who betrayed me, my own flesh and blood. And how do I respond to that? He was probably just having such an internal battle. But like, again, this wasn't the first time that Joseph is being reminded of his brothers. Remember, he names his kids, never forget, and, you know, being blessed through my suffering, because he has this constant reminder of his brothers and the things that he's been through. Have you asked God to open your eyes lately to what he's doing in the circumstances right now? I have. I've asked God to, show me again, show me the clues, God. Show me that I'm on the right path. And if you haven't, then, it's simple. It's just asking God, just closing your eyes and asking God, hey, God, give me your vision. God, allow me to see with your eyes. God, allow me to hear with your senses. Allow me to smell and touch the things of your world that are for me from you. And it's as simple as that, and God will hear your cry. God will hear and see your passion and hear your heart. And he will do the things that you're asking him to do on his time and in his way. That's why you always have to say, God, in your will, right? Because if he's willing to do those things, then I accept it and I receive it. That's why it's really important to do that. So let's get straight into the verses for today. It starts off in Genesis 41, verse 53. It says, at last, the 7 years of bumper crops throughout the land of Egypt came to an end. Then the 7 years of famine began, just as Joseph had predicted. The famine also struck all the surrounding countries, but throughout Egypt there was plenty of food. Eventually, however, the famine spread throughout the land of Egypt as well. And when the people cried out for Pharaoh for food, he told them, go to Joseph and do whatever he tells you. So with severe famine everywhere, Joseph opened up the storehouses and distributed grain to the Egyptians, for the famine was severe throughout the land of Egypt. And people from all around came to Egypt to buy grain from Joseph because the famine was severe throughout the world. Genesis 42 verse 1 says, when Jacob heard the grain was available in Egypt, he said to his sons, why are you standing around looking at one another? I have heard there is grain in Egypt. Go down there and buy enough grain to keep us alive, otherwise we'll die. So Joseph's 10 older brothers went down to Egypt to buy grain, but Jacob wouldn't let Joseph's younger brother Benjamin go with them for fear some harm might come to him. So Jacob's son arrived in Egypt along with the others to buy food, for the famine was in Canaan as well. Since Joseph was governor of all of Egypt and in charge of selling the grain to all the people, it was him that his brothers came. When they arrived, they bowed before him with their faces to the ground. Joseph recognized his brothers instantly, but he pretended to be a stranger and spoke harshly to them. Where are you from? He demanded. From the land of Canaan, they replied. We have come to buy food. Although Joseph recognized his brothers, they didn't recognize him, and he remembered that dream he had about them many years before. He said to them, you are spies. You have come to see how vulnerable our land has become. And then, if you're still here, I appreciate you for being here. If you're interested in seeing what people have said in the group chat, go ahead and hit that link in the description. Join us on the Bible plan. We're at day 13 out of day 22. And again, if you found this video through Mastering the Man, I'm closing that chapter for Mastering the Man as far as faith and mindset videos goes. And I'm bringing it to Mastering the Faith, where people who want videos like that can just solely find videos like that. So I encourage you to join us over at Mastering the Faith, and I hope to see you there. Thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you in day 14. Keep mastering. Love y'all. God bless. See ya.